Hello and welcome to the channel everybody. In this video I'm finally going to do my review of the Oculus Quest 2. Been a little while in the making, but here it is. So first off, let's talk about the build quality. Now, it's a pretty cheap device. Yes, maybe Facebook did a few shortcuts here and there. The strap that comes with it, I wasn't a big fan of. It's just an elastic strap and pretty much mandatory change the strap. This is the Elite strap. However, do your reviews on that. I think I have one. I do have one. These straps do break. Or maybe it's a bad batch. I believe that might be rectified now. Now, I pre-ordered this Oculus Quest 2 back a few months ago, so I've had it for the whole time it's been released. I haven't personally had anything break on this. Quality seems to be okay. They did shortcut a few things like the IPD adjustment with the 3 settings rather than the full proper slider they had on the normal Oculus Quest 1. But overall, I think for the price you pay, this actually isn't a bad headset. And on top of that, it's one of the only headsets out there that not only can you run cabled to your PC, but standalone as well. Can't get that on your Valve Index. Really, kind of the closest thing to run wireless would probably be a Vive with a wireless adapter, but I mean just the wireless adapter is practically nearly the price of this on its own, and you still need the powerful gaming PC to power it, whereas this you don't necessarily do. Now there is an asterisk to that, because some games, like let's say Half-Life Alyx, you can't necessarily just load straight onto the Oculus Quest 2 and just play it completely wirelessly, not needing a powerful gaming PC. If you're not 100% sure if the games you want to play can actually be bought on the Oculus Quest 2, so I'd actually recommend downloading the app on your phone and just checking out the store. Now, speaking of accounts and stores and stuff like that, of course I do have to mention one of the downsides of the Oculus Quest 2 is the fact you need a Facebook account. Yes, most people probably have a Facebook account, so it's not a big deal. However, there are some of you out there that don't want a Facebook account but still want an Oculus Quest 2, and that's going to be a problem for you. And if you make a fake account, then you risk also getting banned, and all your purchases on the Oculus Quest 2 store will disappear with your Facebook ban. So be very aware of that. Now, speaking of also powering games from your PC to the headset, let's talk about the Oculus Link that'll plug straight in that USB-C slot there. Now, I have 2 Oculus Link cables. One's this third-party AM/VR one, which is quite a thick cable, 5 meters long, quite heavy, which goes from USB-C to USB. In terms of visual quality, I find that's very similar to my original Oculus Link one. This one here that goes from USB-C to USB-C and also has a little Velcro strap here. If you want to know more on these, I do have a video on that, so check out my channel on that. Now, this is also a fiber optic cable, by the way. Lighter, thinner, does its job. Anyway, check out my video if you want to know more about that. Another thing to think about when looking to buy a Quest 2 is what one you want. There's a 64GB version and 128. No, sorry, that's incorrect. There's a 64GB version and a 256GB version. This one here is a 256GB version. I bought the 256GB version because I just want to download all my games and stuff on here. I don't want to get rid of it, and potentially if games get bigger later, which I think they are, there's no way I'll probably clog this up. Whereas a 64GB version, maybe. Obviously, it's actually much cheaper to get the 64GB version, and how many games are you going to play on it? if you're just going to play a handful of games, then 64 is going to be okay. If you don't want to load a ton of different movies and all that on here, again, the 64 gigabytes is going to be fine. If you're planning on streaming via the Wi-Fi signal from the PC and all that, again, you probably only need the 64 gigabyte version. Want to play on Oculus Link? You know, only need the 64 gigabyte version. Save yourself the money. Invest in a Halo strap or the original Oculus Link cable or something like that. Probably a better use of your money. I want to talk about comfort with the Oculus Quest 2 because, to be honest, this is probably, out of all the VR headsets I've had, and I've had a few, probably one of the least comfortable. Particularly with the elastic strap that I was talking about before. I just wasn't a fan. I wasn't comfortable. I was getting extreme headaches and everything after like an hour. My head was hurting. Not good. I got this Elite strap and this has made it much better. Is it as good as my Rift S with the Halo? I feel more comfortable in my Rift S than I do with this, the Oculus Quest 2. The other, I guess you could say, comfort problem I have is with these lenses, these ones in here. Now there's been a lot of speculation online about lenses and multiple different lenses and H3s, and this is one of the very first batch ever made. So this doesn't even have a little number on it like some of the other ones. Maybe different revisions, I don't know. It's something I may talk about with Oculus in the future to see whether I can maybe get these replaced. This is one with little dots around the outside, and it seems to be known that these lenses that I have on my particular model do have a bit of God rays, a bit of flare, particularly in white snow, and I find that really difficult for me. And in terms of the lens quality, I don't like it. Sometimes when you're in games like, let's say, Half-Life Alyx or Population 1 or anything, you don't tend to notice it, I find. And it's alright in those scenarios. Sometimes you see it in the Oculus menu, sometimes you see it watching just even Netflix and stuff like that. It can be really bad in my opinion. And it nearly like feels like it's cloudy around the outsides here and there, especially in bright scenes. And it's just reflecting off things in the lenses, I don't know. But as I said, that is just my version of these lenses. Everyone around the world seems to have different lenses and different experiences. Some people, it's amazing and it's fine. Other people, it's really bad. I seem to get one that's really bad, and I tried this with other people, and this particular headset, other people said the same thing. So again, something I got to talk to Oculus about. But I do believe if you buy yours now, brand new, I think you'll get a better lens set than what I have on this particular model. But just be careful with that. I have heard Oculus are replacing them for free for some people, but it is a thing. Speaking of the performance of this headset, particularly not connected to the gaming PC, just on its own, the performance seems to be quite good with the new Snapdragon XR2 chip. Loading times are better than the Oculus Quest 1. Graphical experience is a bit better. All around a good little improvement with the XR2 chip. Speaking of the microphone and the headphones and all that, I've used the microphone to actually record videos in VR, and I find the microphone with this device is actually really good compared to some other devices.
Iceman, where are we going?
I don't know, where do you want to go?
Iceman, you have a really quirky accent.
Huh? Now you do have the little headphones here that a lot of people do complain about. I mean, they're a small little speaker and you can't expect too much. Having full proper headphone like the 5 Deluxe Audio Strap ones, for instance, they're obviously going to bring much better quality. However, it does come with a headphone jack and you can just plug in your own headphones, which I personally do. And when I'm playing on the computer, then I run my Wi-Fi headset from my computer straight to these anyway. So for me, it hasn't been too bad. I find them good enough when I need them. Yeah, it's if you're going to some dubstep concert in VR, well, they're probably not going to be enough for you. Run a pair of headphones. Now let's speak about these controllers. Now for the Oculus Quest 2, they've redesigned these controllers. Old one, new one. As you can see, the layout there is a little different. The new Quest 2 ones seem to be a little bit more ergonomic, maybe. They've gone to a slightly different design, apparently a little bit stronger. The original Quest ones, they used to break very easily in this ring. However, this one does seem to be a bit stronger. The original ones have a magnetic plate here, which for me feels more premium, feels better. But some people did find when playing Beat Saber and all that, all of a sudden, whoa, or batteries would fly out and stuff like that. That seems to be fixed on this one. It doesn't feel as expensive and as good, but I guess it does its job better than this despite that. Now, I've also found that this seems to have better battery life than the originals by a reasonable way. I've barely ever changed the battery on these. And these, like, I purposely run a rechargeable battery in these that I just replace all the time. But these, pretty good. So much better battery life. Some people say it doesn't feel as good in the hand. However, I find it does. It doesn't bother me. I think it's fine. And I'm more than happy to hold those. I find the downfall to the Quest 2 though is particularly because it's white. It will get dirty quicker compared to black. And that doesn't just go for the controllers, it also goes for the headset. Now the tracking on both the controllers and the headset seems to be quite good. I find with my Rift S, it's much more picky in the lighting scenario and all that in the room, whereas the Oculus Quest 2 doesn't seem to have that issue as much. It doesn't seem to need a particular kind of light. The Rift S is like, is there too much light? No, I'm not going to track. Is there not enough light? No, I'm not going to track. And it's a smaller, finer line in your tracking. Whereas this, just seems to work. Even in reasonably low lit scenarios, this has seemed to work pretty well. I've sat in my bed with this, just with a little tiny light on the side and watched Netflix. And again, it tracks without any issues or stutters, or it's just tracked, and it's tracked pretty well. Now my other suggestion with this, other than buying the Elite strap, is also potentially getting a VR cover. This is a foam one. It'll get manky pretty quickly. I do suggest getting an aftermarket cover, but not going too cheap. I have a review on a really cheap one, and it's quite bad. I do have a few companies actually asking me to try out some for the Oculus Quest 2 on this channel, and I'm probably maybe going to take them up on that. Subscribe for that one. Oh, one of the other things while on that subject is when buying the Oculus Quest 2, you can also fit in the glasses. It comes with a glasses spacer. It'll help space it out a little bit from the lenses. So if you're wearing glasses, that might help you, even if it is just a little bit. Also, check out my little kitten here. He's being a good boy. He's not terrorizing the place and just sitting, waiting for me to finish filming. Let's talk about battery life. Now, I find if you're running the headset on its own without any external power source like a battery pack or connecting it to your PC via the Oculus Link, battery life is probably going to be about 2 hours depending on what you're doing. You can extend that because you can get the Halo strap with the battery built in, or you can plug it into your PC, obviously get slightly better graphics, and also power your headset at the same time. Now, depending on the link cable you use, the battery life will either go down slowly or stay about the same. Now for me, I find on an aftermarket cable, the battery tends to go down a little bit, but with the original Oculus Link cable, it tends to barely go down, but it does go down, and in other applications maybe about stays the same. If you're running a really high refresh rate, like 90 Hertz and big resolution and all that, it still goes down, but very slowly. But if you're just chumming around doing not much in a lower resolution, then it's probably going to be about the same, and the battery percentage won't really move that much. But battery life is the best on the original Oculus Link cable. Something that will also chug down battery life is if you decide to not hook it up via the Oculus Link to your PC and instead run Wi-Fi 6 from your router to your PC and do it via virtual desktop. That'll probably consume a little bit more battery. Obviously no need for an Oculus Link cable in that scenario to run your games. However, it depends what games you play is whether I would do that or not. I do a lot of sim racing, and I find virtual desktop is just an absolute no-no in that scenario, because if it drops out for that split second and you're coming into a corner or something, you're over, you're in the wall. For sim racing, I did not like that. Now I do have a dedicated video on sim racing for the Oculus Quest 2. Check that out if you want to, if you're into that. I won't go into that too much in this video. But in terms of, let's say, a game like Population 1 running virtual desktop in that, it seems quite fine. I mean, if you're hiding behind a rock or something and it drops out for a split second, nothing lost really. In saying that, if it comes at a really bad time and you're trying to shoot this guy and then it drops out, well, you're probably dead. But the quality through Wi-Fi 6 is reasonable. But really it can depend on your router. If you're not using Wi-Fi 6, it's going to be a little bit worse, but hey. Also, your latency is going to be a little bit worse compared to Oculus Link to the PC. But again, in most games, like let's say Half-Life Alyx, that isn't going to really matter that much. And you get the freedom of being untethered. You can play in your living room, but still being powered by your PC if you wanted to. Which is a freeing experience. No cables, no tethers, like you've just gotten out of jail after a 20-year sentence. It's freeing. A benefit to the Oculus Quest 2. Now, who is the Oculus Quest 2 for? If you want that freeing experience, well, you don't have much choice other than an Oculus Quest 2. You can't go wireless with a Rift S. You can't go wireless with a Valve Index currently. You can go wireless with a Vive Cosmos, but I mean the quality of the visuals of this compared to an original Vive is going to be massively different. Screen door effect is going to be much better on the Quest 2. I find screen door effect on this is one of the best headsets I've used. The buyer for this headset is probably going to want to use it completely untethered. Let's say if you're wanting to do some fitness in the lounge room or somewhere where there's no PCs around. No other headset can do that, especially when there's no PC around. This is what you need. I think if you're just wanting to play a lot of games like Half-Life Alyx and all that are PC only, would you get this just because it's cheaper than, let's say, a HP Reverb G2? I would say probably not. I think visual quality is going to be a little bit better on HP Reverb G2. Obviously no need for battery life. It'll be a little bit more comfortable than this. Obviously on top of the Oculus Quest 2, in my opinion, you have to buy the Elite strap, which is some dollars, and the Oculus Link, which again is quite a few dollars, especially if you're going the original replacements. Original extras. And if you're going to be tethered to a PC anyway, I do feel that the graphics are going to be a little bit better in that scenario. But if you want a bit of an all-round device, this is a really good all-round device. Budget. Value for money. Not budget. Value for money. Do keep in mind the IPD range of this device. somewhere between about 58 to 68, 70, something like that. If you're outside of that, don't buy it. If you have something like 72 or something, you're probably better off going with a Cosmos or something, be it a little bit more expensive. Well, a lot more expensive. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, everybody. Hit that like button if you liked it, subscribe for more videos, and I will see you in the next video.